I want to bring in Aaron Ford. He's the Democratic Attorney General of Nevada to discuss a little bit more about how this bill is going to impact states like Nevada. Thanks for being with us, Attorney General Ford. We have over 100,000 Nevadans set to potentially lose health coverage if this bill is signed into law, according to a report from Democratic lawmakers. We already know your state has significant doctor shortages. What impact are you bracing for there in Nevada?
Well, thanks so much for having me on for this important conversation. And, there are some stirring words from our friend Hakeem Jeffries. Reminds me of how personal this issue is for me in particular. As we say in church, I'm talking about what I know, not what I heard. These cuts to Medicaid, for example, are something that I have a very real understanding of. I was a single father in college, raising my son, having to depend upon Medicaid, and then it was called food stamps, not SNAP. Yeah. But depending on food stamps and Medicaid in order to get by. So I have a very real knowledge and understanding of how important this lifeline is for so many folks. And I'm quite concerned that what's happening at the federal level is going to have that detrimental impact that we are hearing being recounted time and time and time again. This isn't just something about numbers, although we are talking about in real life 700,000 Nevadans who could be affected by this. Most seniors in nursing homes depend on Medicaid. Yeah. 2 out of 5 of our children in Nevada depend on Medicaid. And a vast majority, over 2/3 of people who are on Medicaid go to work every single day, but their income requires them to rely upon Medicaid for health care. So I'm very concerned about what's about to happen at the federal level and its detrimental impact on my friends, colleagues, and neighbors.
I just want to follow up on your personal story. Thank you for sharing about the fact that your own family was on food stamps at one point, took advantage of these SNAP benefits just to survive, right? I mean, for those who are saying, well, this bill isn't going to really hurt families, it's just getting rid of the people who are, trying to get those benefits fraudulently, what do you say to them?
Nonsense. To be sure, waste, abuse, and fraud are things that we have to address, but this bill doesn't do that specifically enough. What we're talking about is ripping away health care for 12 million Americans. We're talking about my neighbors here who some immediately will have health care ripped from them for over 100,000 Nevadans. We're talking about a budget hole here that, by the way, our state governor should know very well and should not be so silent on this issue. But we're talking about having to pay $3 billion over the next 7 years to cover the difference when the federal government ends its 90% Medicaid match. Or is he going to let another 132,000 Nevadans lose coverage? That's our current governor. And it's shameful that he's not speaking up and defending Nevadans, which frankly is the reason why I'm running for governor. And we're going to be making that official launch later on this month. And I encourage folks to visit my website, forwardfornevada.com. But,
getting that plug in.
We are indeed concerned about what's happening here, and we need leadership in our state.
Attorney General, what about the no taxes on tips or overtime pay? One would assume a lot of people in your state would stand to benefit from that part of this legislation.
But, speaking of personal stories, when I was in college working toward some degrees, I was working at Outback Steakhouse making $2.35 an hour, walking around with food on my hand here, living off of tips. So I have a very real understanding and appreciation of that as well. And so I'm proud of the leadership that Senator Rosen and Congressman Horsford have brought to this particular issue. As I understand it, though, these aren't permanent in the bill right now. There's a cap on the amount of monies that will be associated with this, and there's a time frame on it. So I would urge Congress to lift the cap and to make it permanent. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for Nevadans being able, under this particular circumstance, to get money back in their pockets. And again, thank you to Senator Rosen and for Congressman Horsford for taking leadership on this issue.
So what are your options then to fight back? Do states have any levers to fight back legally as Attorney General or in other ways?
Well, it's a great question that you ask, and I will say this. We have sued the Trump administration over 30 times, my colleagues and I, and we have not lost once. That's because we look at what the law says, and if he violates the law, we will sue him and we will win. And so we will take a fine-tooth comb to look through this legislation to ascertain what components we believe may or may not be addressed in court, and if so, we will address it. And, that said, we will continue to take forth, to undertake any efforts that we can to protect our respective constituents here in Nevada, but also elsewhere in the other states that my colleagues and I are working together in to protect people.
Attorney General of Nevada, Aaron Ford, thank you very much for taking the time. We appreciate your perspective on all of this.